All right. I think we can get going. Very good morning, everyone. Welcome to Leanlab Masterclass today with Nordea Life Finland. We are in for a real treat today as we learn how life insurance company have modernized their customer-centric development process. We'll be touching three kind of talking points or areas today in our session. So we start from the problem first, why the old research ways are no longer enough. Then we move into talking about the solution, the customer lab, and that moment, Meri-Tuuli from Nordea Life Finland will join me and share their case study and their experiences. And then finally, we move on to talk about the results and the impact that it has had on Nordea Life business. The session is interactive as well, so we have a few polls in today's session. And then we hope to have a Q&A at the end of the session, provided that we have a few minutes extra. So you can post questions. There is a Q&A box in the top right corner, so you can post your questions, and we seek to address some of those questions at the end of the webinar today, or then I will get back to you separately. Let's meet the speakers. So my name is Ville Österlund. I'm founder at Leanlab, and I've been helping Nordic businesses to bring customers into product development more faster and more systematically over the last 20 odd years. But the true hero today on the call is Meri-Tuuli Kosonen, who's sharing their story, how they are using customer lab in their service development. So really honored to have you, Meri-Tuuli, in the studio or the session today with me. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here today.
Yeah, let's get going. So we have these three bits to cover. Let's start with the challenge, the problem first. Let's dig into some of the fundamental issues and problems. What sort of stops us working in customer-centric ways when we think about service and digital development? As I was doing prep work for the webinar, I came across this interesting data from McKinsey company. They've interviewed about 50 senior executives in big corporates, and one interesting data point was that only about half of service development initiatives or product launches succeed, and another half, fails to hit the business targets. So, it's almost like flipping a coin. Some you win and some you lose. What I thought, however, was really, really interesting was that they also made correlation analysis by looking at, okay, what are the successful companies, the companies that are succeeding with products and service launches, what are they doing right compared to the rest of the band? And they found two factors that really dominate those successful companies. First, the companies are able to incorporate insights into the whole service development process. And secondly, they're able to get their teams aligned. So, through the process, the teams are aligned, and when they are finally launching the service, everybody is aligned and everybody's on the ball. What's to be done next? So those are the two dominant factors to be successful in service and product development. However, meeting these two success criteria isn't really easy. When I founded Leanlab 4 years ago, I kept hearing these three major challenges from a lot of product design and service development folks. First of all, we have a flow issue, meaning that it takes way too long to get into insights. So, if you think about the qualitative research process, the bigger the company, it seems, the more it takes. And the average is somewhere probably around 8 weeks right now, trying to hustle the participants, booking the times, running the calls, doing the analysis, and it just takes a lot of time. The second thing we came across is that there is a massive process issue. So the process, how we talk to customers, is not modern, it's not systematic. So somewhere along the service development funnel, we forgot to speak to customers, or we don't speak to our customers at all. We just hope and pray when it comes down to launches. And the third issue is a little bit related to the finding that McKinsey had in terms of the success factors, is that a lot of people were saying that, hey, our insights, when we're talking to customers, they actually get buried and siloed in folders and emails and whatnot. So it's not easy to share and collaborate on insights across different teams. So these are some of the fundamental issues in the Nordic businesses today. And let's pause here for a quick poll, to ask, how do you relate to these challenges? This is a multiple choice question, so there's a few challenges that you can pick. So if we can get the poll going, we can get a little bit of data from you guys, how it looks. Okay, so we're seeing in the last session, the not systematic was a clear winner, so that systematic process is a key challenge for a lot. It seems to be here as well. We have 92% saying the process is not systematic. It's too slow to get into the insights. It's pricey. We struggle to get insights, or we struggle to share insights. Yeah, I think the pattern is becoming quite clear. So, vast majority of you guys on the call today feel that it's the systematic process is missing, and then secondly, it's very slow to get into those insights. And this is very familiar pattern, and I've been trying to kind of map out what this means to companies, and I made this sort of a flow that I'm sharing with you here. Is that because we have this high barrier to do research, because it's perceived to be slow, costly, and difficult to get around, our teams, our service development and product development teams, then tend to kind of steer away from research because it holds back, it pushes your timelines and whatnot. And that's the moment when the guesswork starts to creep into your process. We start pretending to be customers internally, and we start asking questions ourselves, like, if you were a customer, what would you do, and so on. We even share concepts internally and ask, from our boss's opinions, like, okay, what should I go? Should I go for A and B? And this just leads into poor or very best mediocre decision making, and that ultimately leads into bigger problems, meaning that we are beginning to accumulate mediocre decisions in our services. So our development debt accumulates. We need to fix those bad decisions later. Then we have failed launches, and ultimately we start having customer churn. So although we are trying to do good and kind of stick to our timetables and skip research, we're actually doing ourselves a disservice in the medium term, because we are accumulating, what I call this sort of experience debt. And that's what I kind of tell every company, that guesswork is actually the most expensive research method in the toolkit that you can have. So let's see how this sort of challenge applies when we apply it to a typical kind of service development funnel. And this is kind of what we see happening. So, on the bottom from the left to right, you have a service development funnel from, going from idea to launch. And then on the vertical axis, you have the accumulated customer learnings. So how frequently you are learning and testing with your customers as you walk through your service development funnel. And companies, struggling to work with customers more systematically, they experience this, what you see there, as a flat learning curve. So we are guessworking all the way through, and the sharpest learning actually happens at the very end of the process, when we are launching it to the market. And this is just way too risky, way too late to be testing. And that's why we end up in research, we end up in this firefighting mode a lot of times. We do research only afterwards if things go wrong. So we really need to change this, because this really results in building mediocre experiences, and it's a very wasteful way of developing services. So to succeed in product and service development, or transform companies into more customer-led businesses, we really need to start working with our customers. And the only way to do that is to embrace the continuous learning motion, something that Teresa Torres has written a book about, this continuous discovery. And this is really important because, only through learning and iterating fast, we can hit the bullseye in our services development and succeed more often and get into that level what the McKinsey was talking about with the successful company. So we need to find a fast, frequent, and systematic way to talk to customers. So, when I was founding the company, I realized that there are 3 problems I need to sort out with my team. First, we need to fix the flow issue, the time to insights. We just simply cannot wait months or weeks to get into results. We need to get into faster, speedier cadences, talking about days or maximum few weeks to get those insights. Secondly, there is the process issue, which is we got to learn continuously. We really need to transition away from ad hoc firefight mode with our research and continuously test and iterate and learn with our customers. And thirdly, really little bit touching on the findings from McKinsey, is that we need to de-silo the customer learning process, and we really need to democratize the access to customers and insights across whole teams. So moving away from siloed data entities to shared entities where we can collaborate, accumulate the insights, and share those seamlessly with our teams. So these 3 problems I wanted to solve with Leanlab, and I wanted to really build a new way of doing research that would embrace the digital tooling for speed, so that we would cover the flow and process more effortlessly and seamlessly, and then really touch on that collaboration to enable us to truly design and build with people systematically over and over again. And that's how we kind of landed to Customer Lab concept as it's known today. And Customer Lab is exactly where we're solving all of these 3 challenges. It's a private online space, where select customers then become your advisors. You invite them and they are ready to help you 24/7. So it sort of becomes your continuous research space, for fast learning and iteration. So you can ask questions and get answers within 24 hours. So you have that kind of continuous flow of questions and answers and these really fast iterative loops with your customers. And then you can invite your other teams to collaborate with you. So it becomes this shared learning space where you're learning all together with your customers. This approach has, let's say, 3 fundamental differences compared to, let's say, traditional ways of, doing research and going about these challenges. First of all, you build your own pool. So you kind of recruit once from your customer base. And once you've done that, you then have a direct access to your customers. So you can talk to them every single day of the week if you want to. And then this then means that you can then move on to having results in 24 hours and not in months. So it's that continuous stream of testing and learning that you can do with your customers. And then, secondly, you have the full research toolkit, meaning that you have, the whole toolkit in one place, tools for discovery research and tools for, all the way down into the solution space where you can show and test and iterate concepts. So you always have the relevant method, because this is really crucial, because it really helps us to, collaborate with our customers in different stages of the process, rather than having the data scattered, across different subscriptions. So you can think it was sort of a Swiss Army knife for service development. I'll show you some of the research tools in a moment, but let me just cover the third point before going into the tool more. And this is really critical. The third differentiator, that this is relationship-based research. So that's how I call it, because in this way of working, you're actually inviting your customers to become your advisors, and you stop treating them as one-time respondents that you disregard after your research. And this is the only way forward, because members people, customers, they want to feel connected and they want to feel that they are making a meaningful contribution. So you need to find these ways to establish that relationship. And let me briefly touch on this topic, comparing the old way and the sort of Leanlab way of recruiting customers with this philosophy. So here on the left, you can see, a typical survey recruitment or a recruitment for interviews. It's relatively passive. It's quite transactional. In exchange for your time, we give you a €50 reward or whatever it is, and it's sort of you're asking for these one-time favors. And this method, worked for many years. Before founding Leanlab, I was running my own research consultancy, and back like 25 years ago, we would get 30-50% response rates to a bog standard email survey, but not today, because people are tired of answering surveys, and that's a real challenge and problem in the whole industry. People are answering surveys very irregularly, and you start to kind of wonder the data quality itself. So today we are talking about maybe 3-5% response rates if you're lucky. So this is the point. This is kind of why we need to move into establishing more of an ongoing relationship with our customers. So that's kind of on the right side there on the screen. So when we are approaching people, let's say an email invitation to join a customer lab program, we really make sure that we are inviting people to become kind of like advisors, not as a survey takers. And then this really moves it into a two-way relationship. People feel that they are treated as advisors. They feel that they're much more connected, and they feel that giving feedback is meaningful again, what it used to be. But we need to reconnect with our customers in a new way. A little bit more on this subject. We continuously interview and talk to the customer lab members, the participants, to find out how their experience is in these programs. And we see that vast majority, over 90%, really enjoy this way of working across industries. So we really haven't seen an industry vertical or a customer segment where this sort of approach doesn't work. And it's quite simple, because when you look at, for example, some of these quotes from one of our customers, there it's very evident. People really want to feel connected. They really value the relationship that they have with you. And if they're able to have a meaningful relationship, through a meaningful channel, then, they are more than happy to give feedback when they feel that it's making an impact. So that was a little bit on the concept itself and some of the proof points why it's a better way to work with customers. Now let's take a brief look at the platform and some of its core functionality. This is the shared learning space. So this is the critical space where you invite your co-workers, but this is a space where you invite your customers to collaborate with you. So it's a shared learning space, shared space where your customers are able to participate in discussions, share experiences, directly with your teams. And as you can see, it's branded always to our customers. So here you can see it's branded to Nordea Life in this instance. And this virtual space is really critical, because this is the glue that kind of makes people feel that they are connected, they are part of the process, rather than just filling out surveys and the other end of the emails. And to enhance this collaboration, we have then built news modules, social rewards, and so on, to help our customers to keep the members, the participants, engaged in these programs. And then this is where it gets really powerful. So on Leanlab, you always have the right method for each phase of the development. So we mapped out 9 different tools that are mapping beautifully for the double diamond process or for your service development process. So we're covering both the problem, the discovery space, and the solution space. And this is really critical, because I've seen companies running surveys when they should be doing qual, and I've seen companies getting stuck with the qual interview motions when it then over time becomes very consuming and heavy to run. So you really shouldn't be shoehorning all of your questions into one single method. And that's why we want to build this more flexible, fluid platform to tap into different research methods across the double diamond process. So let me just give you a quick walkthrough of some of the tools. So when you are in the generative space, kind of in the problem space, discovery space, instead of hustling up another interview round and spending 8 weeks with interviews, you can simply form a discussion group and invite people to take part in a discussion forum and get feedback within a day or two. And the added benefit with this is that all of these tools are asynchronous, meaning that the customers can then participate when they have time. So you don't really need to book a certain time for the interview anymore. You can just let it run for a period of 2 or 3 days, and people can just drop in when they have a moment. And this really, again, moves some of those frictions from participations, because you don't need to book a certain time or day to collaborate with customers. Secondly, there are conversational diaries that you can use to get into emotions at different stages of, let's say, in your customer journey. So for example, with your diary, you can examine how people interact with your product and service in their daily or weekly routines and what challenges they have. And the great thing about this diary, again, is that it's conversational. So your participants fill out the diary questions, but then it becomes a conversation, so you can ask follow-up questions and dig deeper into their experiences. And people can also share images and screen grabs and all of these things with you. So it's sort of a multimedia diary tool. Then you can also do what I call video shorts. So you can ask people to record their screens or do a kind of like a short self interview, 3 to 5 minute videos that they can upload and share with you. And again, this can be really powerful, because you can then show some of these videos to your stakeholders in the company and say, hey, look, this is what people are going through. And again, this is conversational, so it's not just uploading a video and that's it, but you can actually then ask follow-up questions from people. Interesting that you said that or you had this problem. Please elaborate and share your experiences. Again, so it's a beautiful way to keep the participation very seamless and liquid throughout. Then when you move into the evaluative in the kind of solution space, again, you have a range of tools to help you to do that, more efficiently and embracing the digital research tools. So for example, you have concept galleries where you can kind of throw out your initial ideas and just jam with your customers and get feedback from your customers. What do they think about the different kind of conceptual directions and ideas? And you can even ask people to vote the best ideas. Again, not scientific research, but it really helps you to set the tone and direction, what's possible and what's working, what's not working. And then when you're a little bit further down in the funnel, you can, for example, run a preference test where you can kind of quickly validate some of your final concepts before you set the development in motion. So again, very powerful and easy test to run in a jiffy. And then, once you're getting closer into launch, you can, for example, test functional prototypes, embed Figma files, for quick feedback. You can attach it to a survey, or you can attach it to a discussion, or however you want to capture those insights. Or you can even form a beta group and ask, your beta testers to test your solution and kind of provide feedback before you go into launch cycle. So really iron out any of the last minute bugs and really improve the launch successes. So as you can see, the toolkit is very flexible and it really bends for dozens of different research needs. Before going into the Meri-Tuuli's case study, let me just briefly touch on a few more points. First of all, on the dashboards and a little bit on the AI, which is something that is catching a lot of interest right now. The dashboards, we wanted to really make the dashboards and results so easy to access and work out so that you can really understand instantly what the results are saying, rather than spending days to build like 50-page report. So instead, you can just, like here, you can see a preference test. You can quickly see, okay, clearly the option 1 is preferred. It's getting more votes, but then you can also see the qualitative answers right beneath it, so you can dig deeper into answers. So very powerful, marrying the qual and quant together. And then, because when we are forming a customer lab, we are inviting people and asking background questions, who they are and what sort of segment they present. You always have the target groups on tap available for you. So you can do very powerful segment and kind of comparison analysis, and look at, when you're testing concepts and ideas, you can see how your different customer groups or customer profiles are reacting to those. So it's not that you're just stuck with 5 interviews at random, but you can always have the numbers to back your story. So again, very powerful way to work with your customers and communicate the results. And as I was saying, AI is really picking up, and I think AI has a fantastic opportunity to democratize the research and make it available for more teams and more companies. And what we are now launching is AI Research Advisor. So this really kind of starts from the core problem, because if we think about the research flow, some of the challenging points are at the very beginning of the journey. Like, okay, I've got this issue, but how should I go about it? What questions, what methods should I ask? So we built the AI Research Advisor particularly for that, so that you can use it as your kind of colleague, your coach. You can pop your problem in there, and then the AI Advisor makes a suggestion in terms of your questions and what methods you should pick, using the Leanlab arsenal. So you can really, begin to better, design better research questions and always pick the right methods. And I think this is just going to scale more and more into future and make research more accessible. But let's move into our case study, because everybody must be by now anxious to hear, like, okay, how does it work in real action when you apply it to a business? And that's why I have Meri-Tuuli Kosonen with me on the call today. So Meri-Tuuli, over to you to go through your story.
Thank you, Ville. Super interesting. So, hello everybody. My name is Meri-Tuuli Kosonen, and I'm working as a business developer at Nordea Life Finland. And today's topic, from idea to launch with customers, how Nordea Life Finland develops new services together with the customer lab. Firstly, let's start by introducing Nordea Life Finland. So we are part of the Nordea Group, one of the largest financial services groups in the Nordics. Established 1993, we have now around 140 employees. At the core of our business are savings and personal risk insurance solutions. I work in the protection product development team, and our insurances protect customers from the financial consequences of unexpected situations like accidents, disability, illness, or even death. And examples of these products are life insurance, critical illness cover, and health insurance. At Nordea, we believe the idea of something better, and this guides our work. From a development perspective, this means focusing on innovation, actively involving customers throughout the entire process, and building products and services that solve real problems rather than what we assume customers want. And a great example of this is our Nordea My Life Wellbeing Benefit, a smart insurance solution that goes beyond traditional insurance. But being customer-focused means more than just what we build. It also how we build it. And we involve customers throughout the entire process, and making them real partners in creating better insurances. So, well-being benefit. What makes us unique is Nordea Life Wellbeing Benefit, a smart insurance solutions, and it means that you can get higher insurance coverage by being active. So when you do sport, you can get higher insurance cover. It's a free feature of Nordea My Life insurance that helps you increase your insurance cover by being active without additional costs. You will get better insurance cover, and you can activate the Nordea My Life application if you have the Nordea My Life insurance policy. And here you can see some screenshots from the Nordea My Life application. So customers get free access to the Nordea My Life application. And the app is available in 3 languages, so Finnish, Swedish, and English. Through the app, customer can easily track their activity, progress, and trends. It's very easy to use, there is personalized experience. The app supports multiple wearable devices. We have direct integration with Polar, Garmin, and Oura. And in addition, Apple Health and Google Health Connect allow customer to connect many other apps and devices as well. And a few words about activity tracking. So the increase in insurance cover is determined based on your physical activity data. And the duration and the intensity of your exercise are converted into activity points, the average of which for the last 100 days determines your activity level. And based on your activity level, you can get even 25% higher insurance cover. And here you can see the 3 levels we have: beginner, casual mover, and active exerciser. So for example, if you're a casual mover, you will get 15% extra insurance cover amount. And if you're an active exerciser, you will get even 25% higher insurance cover. But as I mentioned earlier, being customer focused means more than just what we build. It's also how we build it. So how we actually do this? We operate a customer community called My Life Lab, which has over 400 active lab members. We regularly recruit new customers through our online and mobile banking platforms, sending invitation messages. And in addition, we do target recruitment directly through Nordea My Life application. My Life Lab is not maintained by a single full-time person. And I would like to highlight this because instead there is a lot of people from various teams across the organization who will contribute to planning and creating activities. And this is super important that there is a lot of people doing this, but this is nobody's full-time job. And this is a Leanlab platform and run internally. We aim to publish at least 1 task per month, but sometimes we do more. To encourage lab members to participate, we run gift card raffles. We also organize internal promotional events for all company employees, and this helps everyone to learn about this customer community as a resource and contribute ideas for the future surveys. And we also keep the whole organization informed about completed studies through our intranet and weekly newsletters. And here are an example from Idea to Launch with customers. So let's see how we used My Life Lab to develop our new Nordea My Life Wellbeing Benefit in 2025, so during this year. So in February, we asked customers for sport app interface ideas and examples. And also shortly, we asked them to explain why specific screenshots are super cool or handy or nice. And then using their input, our UI designer created prototypes. We tested two key components, activity wheel and activity calendar, and collected feedback on early drafts. We then redefined the prototypes further and conducted A/B testing. In March, we conducted more like a general level survey where we asked customers' opinions on smart insurance. In May, using previous feedback, we developed prototypes further and had customers select the best home screen layout through A/B testing. I will tell more about this in coming slides. And in June, we actually used My Life Lab to test also our customer communication. And this was also super interesting. I will tell more about this also coming slides. And then the new application became available for the download July 1st. And in September, we collected feedback from over 300 members on the new application. And they particularly liked the new user interface and how well it worked with the different devices, and also how it motivated them to do more. So, favorite sport app UI. So this is an example about how we used clients' insight to get very in a very first phase of the developing, like the ideas and the inspiration. So we got inspiration from our users to design the new Nordea My Life application. And sorry for the Finnish text there, because our customer community is at the moment in Finnish. But basically, we asked them to share the screenshot, what they consider to be an effective visual design. And there was also an opportunity to give star rating for the screenshot other lab members has posted. And yeah, this was super useful and a nice example that you can take your customer with you in very early phase. And then I have an example of preference testing. So choose your favorite home screen. So here you can see on the slide 3 different home screen, so A, B, C. 43% of respondents choose the home calendar, so the middle of option you can see here. But I would like to highlight that, however, we also took into account those who voted for the line and bar graphs by adding a button called Activity Development in the application, behind which the customer could see the other views as well. And here are some open feedback regarding the middle option. So personal, best layout, clear. And it is motivating and rewarding to see your own achievements in the calendar. It encourages you to keep moving. And this is from business developer point of view. This is super cool feedback. I love it that somebody really liked the application and feel motivated. So that's super. All right, then closer to the launch, we wanted to test the customer communication as well. So we tested letter drafts with our customer. And apologizes again, the Finnish screenshot. As I said, the community is in Finnish, but I can translate. So there was a draft letter, and then we tested following statements, among others. So the message of the letter was clear, agree, disagree. The language was easy to read. The tone of letter was friendly. After reading the letter, I know how I should proceed. And additionally, we asked open feedback how to improve the letter content. And this was found extremely useful. For example, we found that 70% of the respondents said that letter was clear. All right, that's super. But how about the 30% of the respondents? So we found that we have been living in a, how I say, Apple bubble. So meaning that if we are in a room of 10 people, me and my colleagues, maybe 9 or 8 of them have Apple, so iOS. But how about the Android users? So we basically forgotten to give detailed level information about Android devices, how they should proceed. But after having this test, we got very good feedback and added additional details regarding Android devices in the final letter. So very, very useful to test also customer communication in the MyLife lab. And this is a good example that you can use very early drafts, prototypes, but also the communication is something you can test. Yes, and as I told, we also did in September survey about customer feedback. We targeting the new users of the new Nordea MyLife application, and here you can see 3 main positive feedback topic. So great data integrations, excellent user interface, and increased motivation. And great data integration behind this was that we have quite deep understanding about devices our customer use, what they would like to use, and would like to connect to the Nordea MyLife application. So this guide our work. So we have the direct integrations, Aura, Garmin Polar, and in addition, you can use Apple Health or Google Health Connect to connect many other apps and devices as well. We have understood that there is different kind of preferences, and you need to understand that there is Android devices and Apple devices and so on. Excellent user interface. This is super good feedback, and I guess that one reason for this is that we have actively collaborated with customers from the very first phases. So using them as our advisor. Homepage well organized, and the activity points tracking is easy to understand. Attractive visual design, the overview page is user-friendly. So all these bullet points are open feedback from our customers. And personally, I love the third one, so increased motivation. So this is super cool feedback that our customer really like to use the application and feel that their motivation has increased. So it's great that the app encourages physical activity and provides tips for well-being. Motivates me to do more. This is simply but very good feedback.
Yeah, no, it's really, really interesting. If we have time, I really want to pick your brain on the letter testing, because it has so many dimensions. First of all, you've been able to bring your team, your marketing team into the process. So you've been clearly collaborating across teams. One of the key success factors, according to McKinsey. And then again, it's a beautiful example of how you've been able to collaborate and integrate insights into the whole process. This the other success factor. So it's fantastic to see you guys be able to do that. But before Q&A, let's briefly talk about the business impact. So what can you share with us today on the impact that this has had when you think it from your point of view, and the speed of collaboration, and from the business point of view?
Yeah, sure. So positive business impact is clear, the speed of customer collaboration. So if you think about the traditional research, it would take approximately 6 to 8 weeks. But through Leanlab, through MyLifeLab, we can test just in a few days, 1 to 3 days. And this is much faster, and also this is cheaper than traditional research methods. There is some facts I pointed. Total, we have done 70 activities, and during this year, we have done 15 activities already. So yeah, quite good. And then 81% have participated in activities. As development team perspective, I would like to highlight that it's easier to ask even smaller questions from customers. So for example, we can just test like icons. We have some, for example, 3 options for the icons, so we can test them. Not need to plan months in advance to test something that we can do also more in an ad hoc base as well. And yeah, if you think about traditional perspective and traditional organization like banks and financial industry, it might be that product development department is actually far from customers. But MyLifeLab brings customers insight closer, and it's super handy because yeah, big organization has this dilemma.
Yeah, no, this is super interesting. We have a few more minutes, so we can do a quick Q&A. I think there was a poll that we could share right now. So there's few topics that we can discuss if you like to hear more. So you can go into the poll and click the one that you like to hear a little bit more. I would certainly be interested, because you've been heavily involved with this. Something that a lot of our potential customers ask is, how do you set it up, and how do you kind of run it internally? So let's see what the winner is, but that's something that is often asked, or then like how to build the business case, how to kind of move this forward internally. But let's give it a few seconds. Okay, we are tying in with the business case and skills and resources. Let's maybe then go for the skills and resources, because I know that that's on everyone's lip, like, how challenging it's to run kind of from the internal point of view. So can you walk us through briefly, like, how are you set up internally, and how do you feel like how much of that is this sort of work is taking your time?
Yeah, sure. So we have, as I told, we have. I would like to highlight that there is not a single person full-time job. Instead, there is various people from various teams across the organization. This means that from my team, production, product development, there is several people, 3 people, I guess. And in addition, we have customer experience lead who will run the whole thing, and then people from marketing and communication as well. And actually, we have also another lab called Sijoitusvakuutusklubi for our savings people who are developing savings products. So we have 2 labs. I'm self doing the MyLifeLab things, but all we do together planning. So we aim to publish at least 1 task per month, but sometimes we do more. As you see from the data, we have already published 15 activities during this year. So we have been quite active. And yeah, we meet monthly. So we plan the coming tasks, and then we also have the opportunity to do like ad hoc tasks. So if we have an idea that I would like to test the icons or the screenshots, it's possible. But then we have also the annual planning as well.
Yeah, and has it been easy to kind of get everyone involved? Like, what's your experience on getting people to talk to customers?
Yeah, I think yes. Of course, you need to remember in your daily job that you have this tool. This is the most biggest challenge, I would say, that you need to remember that we have the tool. But I think we are better in that, and especially this that we have the monthly meetings where we plan what we will do, who will do. We have the shared responsibility, so this is very important.
Yeah. We have few questions. I'm not sure we can cover much of these, but let's yeah, maybe there's a question on the kind of the group size on the customer lab. Maybe I can take that one because I see it across our different customers. Usually, the kind of the first stage is, you start with, let's say, 100, 150, 200 customers. Somewhere there is the first initial stage, and then you can scale the customer lab member size up from there. You can think it from the kind of point of view that once you have, let's say, about 150, 200 customers, maybe you can have then 3 or 4 different customer groups, each cluster being 40 or 50 members. And then if half of them are active in any given time, then you always get like 20, 25 participants, which is already a lot from the kind of qualitative perspective. And then you kind of begin to get a little bit of that quant feel as well. So I would start from somewhere there. But I'll come back to some of the questions and follow up later after the webinar, because I think our time is up. Really want to thank you, Meri-Tuuli, for joining me today and sharing your story.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening in and tuning in for the session. I wish you a very nice end of the year. If you do want to reach out to me or Meri-Tuuli, then you can DM us on LinkedIn or email me at ville at leanlab.co. But that's it from us. Thanks again. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.